about a manager's contract. We're not talking about my telephone calls or other things. We're talking about a manager that says he's tired of being harassed and abused and he wants to quit. He's the best man we've had in 20 years. When he came into the office and took over the office, we found thousands of documents that were unfiled in boxes, and they put hundreds of hours into filing all of these documents. This is where they were concentrating, and in between, Mr. Harvey was checking, had interviewed roofing people, elevator people, alarm people, security people, everybody you could think of. He had 50 things on the table. He didn't need to be interrupted for anything. And if there was any dispute that Mr. Wolf had with him, he should have understood what this man is doing. Now, when he first met Mr. Harvey in an interview with Stuart Wolf, and I made a comment about Mr. Harvey or some issue there, Mr. Wolf used this expression that he uses all the time: "I'll fight you to the death." This is what he says. Mr. Wolf and I was sitting in the Wachovia Bank, and he said to me, "Michelle is an idiot, and she doesn't know how to interview anybody." And he was talking so loud, that the bank officer came over and had him shut him down. This is a very abusive man, and this man is leaving because of him. If this man, when I'm finished, this man is leaving. This is the issue, because of this man's abuse. And the board has to take some positive action to stop this abuse and keep him out of the office and find a way that keep this man on our premises, because I guarantee that this community, if this man is not here, is going to deteriorate so quickly, so bad in every area, that it will be, what we had last year will be nothing compared to your future.
How could you both been such good friends for so many years, and now the board, a new board is here?
I'll answer that. I will answer that. Because their friendship was when Scott, I'll tell you.
No, you weren't there.
Objectively, I was there,
No, you were
Scott.
not there. I was subjectively there. It was either
Marcy,
breaking off my relationship with Stuart Wolf or having a heart attack.
Well, you know,
This was it.
Marcy, it's not strange. I will answer that.
With Mr. Stuart Wolf because he called me 20 times a day, knocked on my doors 20 times, as often as he could, and I had to cut him out. I stopped taking his calls. I could never talk to him in a reasonable manner. He is completely out of sight. And now he has done the ultimate thing. He's destroyed this man.
How could this have happened?
And every one of you is going to pay for it big time, I promise you.
Well, we're going to pay for it anyway.
Marcy, I will tell you.
Wait a second, time out. How could this, until this new board came into existence, you guys were friends?
I will answer that. They obviously both came, so they'll both explode.
I'm not sure
They
I
were-
want to hear. Can I raise a point of order, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go ahead.
The point of order is, I thought this was a board discussion, not open to the public at this particular point.
They can make it open.
However,
It's so compelling.
under our state law, you can have a right to,
That's right.
for unit owners to speak. And I think we've spoken enough on this issue. Let's move
Let her
on.
finish, okay? She's got a
Let's
question.
move on
Marcy
now.
had a question. Do you want me?
I want to move on. I want to take, we have a motion on the board, the unit owners.
Well, I just want to address something to Mark. You didn't give me a
And
chance.
the unit, let's
Hold on.
call the motion, please.
Hold it, he has
Wait a
question.
second.
Call the motion, please. We've had
Wait, hold
enough.
on.
We've had
Mark,
enough.
I want to ask Mark a question. You had a discussion, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not even. I'm sorry.
Who do you want to ask?
I'm talking to Mark. I hear what you're saying. What Jerry had said, I agree with. I understand what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, if someone's roof is leaking, are you going to sit there and say, well, it could take 6 to 12 months? Certain things you need to act. He hasn't even gotten a bid. Now I'm not even saying I'm against him. I'm just saying in 4 weeks he hasn't so much as gotten a bid. And we had a discussion yesterday. Where you had said, it concerns me that every time I walk by he's smoking and he never has time. I never have time. He sometimes takes 10, 15-minute smoking breaks. Now, we're paying for that. If he doesn't have time, wouldn't you think that not smoking, smoke all you want in your lunch break, smoke all you want in the morning at the end of the day, but if he doesn't have time and time is of the essence, and he's smoking every 10, 15 minutes with witnesses, Wilhelmina, all the other girls, doesn't that concern you a little bit that maybe he can condense his time? That means 1 out of 8 hours he's spending smoking when he could be spending answering his question instead of getting irate. Now, I just, 4 weeks, not even a bit. You told me that was a concern of yours, and it worries you. Now, we're spending that money. That alone is a liability, is it not? I mean, unless you didn't mean it when you had told me that.
No, I'm always concerned when I see different things that bother me. I understand that. At the end of the day, though, he's got a bid in. He's waiting for a second bid. The board may elect to spend the $8,000 and hope that it works, or the board may elect to wait till the second bid comes in and puts a new roof on the building.
Okay.
But that's a board decision. That's not my decision.
I just want to hear your take on it. I'm not fighting you.
He can smoke a cigarette every 15 minutes for all I care because he brings so much to the table. If that's his only vice, I'll live with it.
But it's not, the vice is time, and he's always saying he doesn't have enough time.
I don't see it as a problem.
You saw it as a problem yesterday. Now you don't see it as a problem. We had a discussion. The one of the
Yesterday?
I want to speak
No,
up.
Jerry. The one other thing
No, Jerry.
He's a great guy,
No.
and smoking should be a consideration. He could be sitting in his office and smoking.
No, Jerry,
I know it's
please.
not allowed. but
Let's
the old days
please
it
call.
was.
Let's call the roll.
I was just bringing up the point.
Let's go.
I was just bringing up the point to Mark. That's all. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing.
You're absolutely
Let's
right.
call
It's
the
private
roll.
property. He most certainly can
Jer-
smoke in his office.
There's a motion on the floor. A motion is made to prepare and give Henry Harvey a 1-year employment contract on April 15, 2010 to manage International Village, commencing April 15, 2010 and expiring on April 14, 2011. It was made by Ed Kaufman and seconded by Doug Myers. We had board decision. We had plenty of unit owners talk. Call the roll, please.
$80,000. $80,000 in 1 hour of smoking. So that's plus free medical for he and his wife.
Call the roll. I second.
I don't know, yeah. He seconds it.
Yes.
Scott, why don't you
He's got his
Scott Samuels,
Yes.
Michelle Toshio,
Yes.
Doug Wolf, Stuart Wolf, no, Doug Myers. What? And Muriel Ash.
Yes. Quiet now.
The motion was carried 6 to 2 or 7 to 2. 7 to 2. 7 to 2. Okay. The next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the changing of officers. Stuart Wolf resigned as treasurer on Thursday, March 25th, which was yesterday. He sent a message to the board. He wrote, "Since I am not getting any help or cooperation from Henry and Scott to the appropriate job of treasurer, I've decided to resign as treasurer." That is an outright lie. Here is why. Prior to being elected, Mr. Wolf claimed he had the experience and capabilities to aggressively address IV's delinquencies and collections. This is the only reason he was elected treasurer on February 2nd, 2010. The truth is that since February 2nd, 2010, Stuart Wolf did virtually nothing about collections and delinquencies. We are still uncovering dozens of letters from the collection attorneys scattered throughout the office that were not answered by Mr. Wolf in the past 7 weeks. These letters required immediate action on delinquency accounts. Some of them reached back to last year, and there have been many third and fourth requests for action made by our collection attorney that were never answered. In addition, I asked Mr. Wolf several times in the past 7 weeks, Stuart, you've got to focus on collections and delinquencies. You have to go over these things with me. He never gave me time. He was all over the lot. He was doing everything else except collections and delinquencies. The board discussed this among themselves, and they said he has to be removed as treasurer. He got word of this, and then he resigned, claiming he didn't get cooperation. An outright lie. Okay, I will now take...
No, you'll let me answer your...
No, you're
You don't have to
not.
let him answer. He's
No,
going to...
I am running this meeting. I will take...
Wait, hold on. Just
I will
respond.
take a motion to elect a new treasurer for International Village. Who will make that motion?
Mr. Samuels, before you make that motion, I have a
No.
constitutional
You
right
can
to
talk.
respond.
You can talk after the motion is...
No, I'll talk now, Mr. Samuels.
No, absolutely not.
No, I have a right to defend my position when I'm called a liar.
You can do it after the motion is...
No, I'm going to do it now. That's my legal right.
No, it's not your
Before
legal
the
right.
vote.
It is not your legal rights to it.
This is the U.S. Constitution we're
No,
talking
it has
about.
nothing to do with the U.S. Constitution.
No, my right to defend my honor isn't.
No, yes, after the board seconds the motion.
Scott, let him
you can talk.
respond.
You
Grow
talk.
up. Let
No.
him respond. Come
I'm
on.
taking a motion to
Scott,
elect...
you're going to let him
No,
respond.
he will have plenty of time to answer.
Let the man respond, for God's sake.
Okay, the board wants you to respond to
Both
it.
of you are going to go all night until he responds.
No, that's not the time. You don't know the protocol. You don't know anything about the law. I am. And you are, yeah.
They both gotta go.
First of all, Mr. Samuels, when he said we were friends, I was calling him 20 times. My son is a witness here. If he couldn't find me, my son actually had to go looking for me. He thought I got killed sometime. Is that not a fact, though?
I got 5 voicemails from him to attest to that on my phone
You know what, this is petty already. Let's
No.
But forget that. I'm just giving you some examples. Okay, but let's go to the Treasury. The treasurer, excuse me. Okay. The reason I resigned is exactly that. I will read the memo I sent, I don't know if I have it here, to Mr. Henry Harvey. And that is because Mr. Samuels put a young lady on the account, not on the account, who was hired at $40,000. Her name is Elizabeth Devlin. She has some unsavory background, and she signs a $16,000 affidavit. So there's no way I was going to be the treasurer and not not check every balance and every penny going in and out of this village on a daily basis. The only way I could do that is I'd have to check every single account that we have. And I sent that to Mr. Harvey saying, this is what I need. He said, I can't give you everything. I said, that's not a problem right away. I want to know how I get it, because without that, I could be held responsible. Mr. Samuels hired her to be in charge of the real estate department. We don't have a real estate department, do we? Because everything he did in the real estate department was illegal. He was using your money not to fix buildings, but to buy property and units. This is factual. If you look at my other email that he doesn't read to the board, it says that I want no part of this, and I suggest the board join me, that we can get out of the 2 units. It'll cost us $5,000, because the insurance company, the state attorney can come down on us. We can be charged with fraud and embezzlement. You don't go to jail, I understand all that, and we're covered. These are serious offenses. If you think I was going to sit there as the treasurer and let some girl who was charged with fraud and signed an affidavit that I have a copy of because somebody anonymously gave it to all the board members, either via email or they gave me a packet this thick in front of my house. Now, Mark Jones said he's very concerned, he's going to mention that to Scott, but he didn't have the guts to do it because he's afraid Scott will go after him, his job, which I understand. He's a young guy, I'm an old guy, I don't have a problem with that. That's one of the advantages of being old and retired. You can do anything you want because nobody can go after you. You don't have to answer to a boss. Actually, that's not true. I got 3 bosses. my wife, my son, and my daughter. But besides that, I'm clear. So what Mr. Samuel's saying is totally untrue. Read the docs. It says the position of the treasurer. It doesn't say one word about collection. And it is true that I was collecting money. He doesn't have a clue what I was doing. When Mr. Samuels appeared at the Wachovia meeting, everyone said, what the heck's he talking about? Because he can't hear. So he didn't answer correctly. He was a goddamn embarrassment. Because he can't hear the questions. Ask, you don't have to believe me, ask Harold Solomon, ask the 2 officers of Wachovia.
All right, can we continue?
Wait, I just want to address one thing. At a smaller board meeting among about 4 or 5 people, Mark Jones and a couple other people, Scott was not present for this, had said to my father, I'm going to be on you, I'm going to be watching you, which they should, and I said the same thing.
That's correct, I forgot that.
They said the same thing. You need to keep everyone in the office accountable now that we have someone with a background, Elizabeth Devlin, who was charged with embezzlement. And this, well, I don't know, I can only speak for what I know. I was not given knowledge about that person. And so when Mark had told me that and a few other people, they said to Stuart, could you please be the eyes and ears, being that you were the treasurer. So he had a responsibility to go above and beyond what he normally would have to, and when he requested something from Henry, it was denied. So when he was denied, he said, I'm out. If Mark is going to say, Mark and a few of the other people on the board are going to hold him accountable, and he can't do his job, why would he not resign? I'm curious, the most basic things, just basic records.
Balances on the checkbook on a day-to-day basis.
Now, I don't know about you, but if Scott hired someone whom he knew actually had a history of embezzlement, I want to know why that's so. Now, I did not know of this. She's already hired. Secondly, once I was given knowledge of that, and he was, Stuart, wouldn't you guys want him to be in there, kind of checking, making sure everything is on the up and up? So that's simply why. When he couldn't do that, he resigned, and now that's that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone on the board want to talk? There's a motion. I didn't get my motion yet. Now I want to hear a motion to elect board member Ed Kaufman as treasurer of International Village.
I make a motion to elect Ed Kaufman as treasurer of International.
Any second?
I second it.
Why not Mark Jones? He's got the capability.
We're doing something.
As a board. Okay, just a second, folks. Okay, Mr. Kaufman, would you accept the office of treasurer? Yes. Okay, Mr. Kaufman will accept the office of treasurer of International Village. A board discussion.
Wait a minute, you only put one person.
Mark is not here.
It doesn't matter. He assented to be. Who's not here?
Mark is not here.
There he is.
You don't want to be treasurer?
What is this got to do? I can't be treasurer.
Because maybe it's somebody else, there may be other people that want to be nominated.
This is not a nomination, Stuart. What is it? This is a motion to appoint a treasurer. There's not a nomination here. It's a board vote.
The board has to vote, they gotta nominate more than one candidate who you can't pick. All right.
Nominate somebody. Why is there a nomination?
It's not a nomination.
What is it?
It is a nomination. There's a motion on the board.
Why don't we vote to nominate to dissolve the whole board?
Why not nomination?
Why aren't you gonna make that nomination?
What are chances of getting rid of all of them?
Stand up in front of the mic.
Checking your notes, Scott?
That
Checking your
guy in
notes?
the middle. I don't
Checking
know.
what? I'm seeing here.
Yeah, and the tie. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take nominations for the position of
I
treasurer.
nominate Mark Jones as treasurer.
I second the motion. Why not?
I don't live in the village long
No,
enough.
but, okay. Let me make a statement on that.
Before, we're taking nominations for treasurer.
He just said he can't, and I'm gonna,
We're still taking them. We didn't stop.
Nominate Michelle.
Just a second. Any nominations for?
Mr. Kaufman.
all right, let me correct Mark Jones.
For Ed Kaufman to be the treasurer. Are there any other nominations?
I nominated Mark Jones, and I'm gonna explain to, Doug did, I'm gonna explain to him that the treasurer doesn't have to live here, he doesn't even have to be on the board, You did it last time.
You don't want to be.
No. Let me clarify. The last time I was treasurer, I did live here. Our condo docs specifically state any executive position of the board must live in the village 10 months or more a year. Treasurer is an executive position on the board. I do not live here 10 months out of the year. I cannot hold that position, according to our docs.
I'll accept it.
Any other nominations for treasurer? We have
Look it up.
Are there any other nominations for treasurer?
The only one that has to live in is the president.
Nominations are closed. And Mr.
No, he isn't. Can I make a statement? I want to.
No! Stewart, please, let this go on, will you? You don't have, just can't interrupt every 2 seconds. Try to control yourself, please.
I'm controlled. Why don't you control
Yeah,
yourself?
I am controlled.
I see that.
Don't be so
You look
slow.
very controlled to me. Yet your blood vessels are going to pop any second. I want to make a statement. You're refusing to allow me? I'll stop.
That's enough from you. I want a copy of this.
It's a necessary.
Okay.
First of all, besides making a statement, I want to ask Mr. Kaufman what qualifies him to be the treasurer, what's in his financial background.
First, I'll make a statement and you'll cross-examine.
Okay, so in other words, you don't have any.
Let me explain.
Take the mic.
At the last meeting, I listened to Mr. Treasurer give a report. Not one word about dollars. How much is in the treasury? How much did we spend? What's coming in? What's owed? Not one word. I said, what kind of a treasurer's report is this? Maybe I'm not an accountant, but I can do better than that, and that's why I'm here.
Okay. Now, since the nominations are closed, and there was only one nominee, then by general consent, Mr. Ed Kaufman is now the treasurer of International Banks. Thank you.
The secretary. Who is the secretary?
We'll get to that.
We haven't got to that.
We'll get to that. Okay. The next item on the agenda, the next item is the changing of the officers.
Take the microphone.
Please don't interrupt. They're very distracting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The International Village is required to have 4 executive officers: a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. Our bylaws, section 6.1, state that the president needs to be a board member, but the other officers of the board, the other officers of the association do not need to be board members. So a vice president doesn't have to be a board member, and a treasurer does not have to be a board member, and a secretary doesn't have to be a board member. I will take a nomination now for secretary. Is there any nominations for secretary? Okay.
I nominate Nikki Bandar.
I don't know.
No, he refused. There's no seconding on this. Can't you get it? There's no seconding on nomination.
You got it, doesn't speak English.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, hold it.
I would like to nominate Terry Tersigni as the office of secretary.
Okay. There's a nomination for Terry Tersigni to be the secretary of the association. Mr. Tersigni, would you stand up, please? Would you accept that post?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominees? Are there any other nominees for secretary of the association? If there are no other nominees, then nominations are closed. Mr. Tassini, by general consent, you are the new secretary of International Village. Now,
Get up here and do your job.
okay, well, next time we'll get him up here. Okay, in addition, we're continuing with the moving around of officers. In addition to 4 executive officers, the association is permitted to have other officers who are not executive officers. They could be assistant vice presidents, assistant treasurers and assistant secretaries.
Absolutely.
Section 6.1 of our bylaws defines the executive officers as only the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. That's the executive officers. It goes on to indicate that the board shall from time to time elect such other officers and assistant officers and designate their powers and duties. These other officers are not included within the definition of executive officers because section 6.11 of the bylaws indicates that only executive officers must be residents and available for not less than 9 months of the calendar year. This does not affect or in any way any assistant, vice president, assistant treasurer, or an assistant secretary.
So, now, we will take, no, please. We will
now take a motion to elect an assistant treasurer.
I, Michelle, make a motion to elect board member Mark Jones to the office of Assistant Treasurer of International Village, whose duties will be to assist the association treasurer in all matters
It's
designated
not
by the
elect, it's
treasurer.
nomination.
Okay, did you all hear that? Okay. Now, Mark Jones does not live in International Village. He's not bound by the rule. He's not bound by the rule that he has to live here 9 months a year, and he can be the assistant treasurer of the association. Okay?